Industrial Growth Exchange,
a podcast series that dives into the growth strategies, insights, and real-world stories of industrial manufacturers across America.
Join us as we go spelunking in factories, crawl through crazy challenges, and spotlight the people that make our world go round.
Whether you're a business owner, an executive leader, or just passionate about growing and manufacturing, hit subscribe and join us as we explore how to take your business to the next level.
So how's it growing?
Chuck.Adams is a registered representative of Finalis Securities LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. This material has been prepared for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to provide, nor should it be relied on for tax, legal, or investment advice. Investors should consult with their own tax, legal, and financial professionals before investing.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Industrial Growth Exchange. I'm one of your hosts, Chuck.Adams, and today is a very special day because we are sitting in beautiful Brooklyn, New York. It's actually a sunny day, which is kind of rare for Brooklyn, if you ask me. And I'm here at a family office conference, and I've had a chance to sit down here with my friend, Rich Gibble, with DelCam Capital. And so today we just wanted to have this interview, and I'm glad you're coming on the show today. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. This is going to be fun.
I always love these conversations. So first, DelCam Capital. Tell us a little bit more about DelCam. What do you guys do?
So we're a boutique private equity firm, and we are focused exclusively on buying manufacturing companies. So specifically founder-led businesses. So for one reason or another, these companies have sort of grown as much as they can. And they've either hit a ceiling because it's become a family lifestyle business, or because the founder just has gotten to a point where he can't grow it anymore himself. And as we all know, there's a kind of a tide change in this country where a lot of the baby boomers are getting towards retirement age, and there's a lack of succession planning from what we're seeing, and that's where we're able to come in and continue these companies' legacies. And you know, my business partners and I have business backgrounds and some manufacturing experience, and so we're able to sort of lend ourselves to our shared backgrounds and business acumen to help these companies grow further.
Yeah. And I always throw this fact out there because it's very relevant. I think, what is it estimated? 125,000 baby boomer businesses in manufacturing alone that are, you know what I mean? So that silver tide, as they call it, is coming, and there's a lot of opportunity there. And I hate to see family businesses die too. So definitely. So are we going to say something?
Exactly. No, I mean, and that's exactly what it is. There's so many businesses, and it's such a fragmented industry. Like, most people don't recognize. You can drive through any town in the country for, you go 3 blocks and you probably pass one of these businesses because they're very nondescript, but you can be doing 5, 7, 8, 10 million bucks out of these little buildings, and you'd never know it.
You never know. That's happened quite a bit. You would think in these little far-fetched Timbuktu areas, but there's just a lot of good manufacturing businesses out there, just some great people that are out there that built those businesses.
Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. And so you guys we talked about geographic focus there. So you guys are kind of in the New England Northeast area. Is that where you focus primarily?
So I'd say yes initially. Our headquarters are in Boston.
Got it.
And all of our Fund 1 businesses are within about 100 miles of Boston.
Okay.
So far we do have a Northeast focus. However, we are currently expanding, as we grow as a firm, so is our geographic reach. And we have a national search on right now. We have looked at businesses that are further afield. We just really haven't found the right, it's really threading a needle when you're trying to find these businesses. From our perspective. It needs to not just be the right business, the right size, the right level of profitability, but you have to have we're looking for culture. We're looking for the right seller. So finding all of those things that line up, so far they've just all been in New England.
Got it. No, that makes sense. And, you mentioned, so you had a lot of the fun ones, they're within our miles. There's other funds that you're looking at and everything, which we get into another day, but that's very interesting. The one thing I always ask people is, as far as PE funds and that goes, what do you believe is like your secret sauce and what really makes DelCam stand out?
So I'm
loaded question.
Yeah, no, you kind of gave me this ahead of time, so I was glad to hear. I was glad I got to think about it a little bit, because private equity is crowded, right? There's a lot of competition out there, and there's a lot of smart people in this space. So, honestly, what I think we do different and kind of better is that we really work very hard to build culture at the firms or at the businesses that we acquire. A lot of times these companies were, run sort of as a dictatorship. And, it takes a while to sort of unlearn that behavior from an employee perspective. And some of these companies are 15 people, some of them are 75 or 80 employees. And there was always one person at the top who drove all the decision making. So one of the things that we do is we try to undo that. We want all the employees to be able to contribute. And so we employ a managerial operating system that is called the Entrepreneurial Operating System.
EOS.
EOS. We have bought into that, and we deploy it at all the companies, and it gives a voice and an accountability to everybody in the entire business. And what we've seen is it takes a little bit of time to adopt it, right? It's not an overnight thing. But over time, we have already gotten 3 new product ideas from employees who are machinists working on the floor, who never would have had a seat at the table and under the prior regime. And now we have 3 products that are, 2 of them are in the prototype stage, but one of them is actually out last week. It went into restaurants in Massachusetts for real live field testing. And we expect to have a working go-to-market in Q1 of 25.
That's great. Well, congrats. That's wonderful. And I always love the EOS. I implement it in my businesses as well. And I think it's a good way. So it sounds like definitely bringing that structure, but in a way that really helps a business grow, and not just the dictator like you talked about and everything. So that's good. Yeah. So focusing in on some of these companies and stuff, like you said, you've already completed that first fund. You've already done some acquisitions in the area up there. Tell us, when it comes to growth, where have you been seeing a lot of opportunities with all those companies? Is there particular industries or sects, or just talk about it? Love to hear.
So growth, it's been a weird couple of years.
Okay.
So we started in 2020 is when we launched. And as the saying goes, we live in interesting times, right? So 2020 was a very interesting time to get into this business. And, so initially we saw a ton of life safety, right? As everybody is building PPE parts and ventilator components. We have an injection molding business, and it was just going gangbusters, creating parts for ventilators. Obviously that had a natural end to it as COVID sort of wrapped itself up. And we've had to, sort of fill in that lost business with just new industries. So interestingly, one that we're working on breaking into is the cannabis space. So not directly, right? We're not plant touching, but one of our injection molding businesses is we have white room capabilities. We're registered with the FDA, so we have like food grade manufacturing capabilities, and we want to get into packaging. So that's what we view as a growth area.
Especially with all the legalization and stuff and everything, there's kind of that evolution that we're seeing, right, over the last decade, and it's just going to keep evolving. So,
it's a huge industry. I mean, at this point, it's not a secret, but it's going to continue getting bigger. Like I believe that federal legalization will eventually happen, but if there's some statistic, it's approximately 70% of Americans already have legal access to it. So the tide, the Rubicon's been crossed. So.
Yeah, I like that one. Nice Caesar reference.
So that's a space that we see. Good. But truthfully, we have opportunity to do cross-selling, right? So in our businesses, we manufacture plastic, all different types of plastic, from injection molding to machining, and we also have precision sheet metal. So what we see is that we're able to cross-sell to customers. We might have one who just uses us for injection molding. They don't know that we have metal fabrication capabilities as well. So we view that as kind of expanding our market share among the customers we already have. So working in our own backyard, so to speak.
Yeah, so kind of rolling up in a way, but then you're adding a lot of these cross capabilities to be able to cross sell and everything, which we've seen a lot, especially with certain private equity and stuff too. It's not a bad strategy at all. So
and our customers like it, because if they have very often they have 1 or 2 points of contact. They know that we can move parts between our shops very quickly. So there's the supply chain sort of speeds up a little bit. They can go to one. They can come to us. We can be a one-stop shop, depending on what the parts are, obviously.
Yeah.
But so that's another area of growth that we've been pursuing and that we've found some traction.
Great. Awesome, yeah. Well, with that though, goes into kind of the next questions that I always like to ask. We talk about challenges, right? Because like you were just talking about earlier, right? There was all that PPE and all that stuff going on. Well, things had slowly had to shift over time. So if you don't mind, I always ask people, because I'm always fascinated, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you've seen. Let's start first on just the external facing, looking at the growth. I mean, you had mentioned one of them. Is there any other ones that have really been sticking out for you?
The hardest part is people. And machinery. Well, I can touch on that. But I think that what we can control is the people component of it. So we started talking about culture earlier in our conversation.
You did, yeah.
And there's some of the people problems that everybody runs into. You can control by having a good culture, empowering the employees, giving them the voice at the table. We also we rolled out a long-term incentive plan where, as the general partnership, we carve out 20% of the general partnership and give that to every single employee that works at all the businesses.
Really?
So, we didn't create this idea. We certainly stole it. But, there's a program called Ownership Works, and it's been very successful, by the guys that sort of pioneered it. And we learned about it, loved it, and deployed it last year across all of our companies. So the way it works is my partners and I take 20% of our ownership and we literally turn it into units and give it to every single employee that works for us. So what it does is it kind of serves a few different purposes. One, it promotes loyalty, right? The guys, if you have awards that you get, we give them out at Christmas time. So if you know that you're getting a larger and larger stake in the business where you work, you don't want to leave. You're not going to leave for $1 an hour more at the place down the street. Also, it helps you. It creates a mentality of ownership. Yeah. If you know that you can either scrap a part because you're sloppy working on it, or you can you can be more efficient and you can use that bar stock or sheet stock and get an extra part out of it, you're going to do that, right? Because it's at the end of the day, you're going to end up benefiting. Yeah. And so, we're 1 year into that, and I will say that it's working. It's in EOS, we have a saying, you got to say it 7 times before people hear it. Yeah. So we found that is the case. And there's a fair amount of education that goes along with this, right? If you're, a lot of people that are in sort of the trades, right? They are incredibly clever. And it's just wild to me how these guys can problem solve. They can see, a stack of, a piece of marble, and they can carve a Michelangelo out of it with a mill or a lathe. Yeah. But they've never encountered, stocks or options. And so there is an element of education that's required. Sure. But once they sort of get it and they understand, and, they see their statement at the end of the year with a projected value on it, it becomes real.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I really liked how you said sometimes you have to touch on things over and over. You can't just say it once and just expect everything is just going to just wrap itself up and everything's great. Sometimes it's that consistency and
precisely. And so we have all of our business unit managers. Every single quarter, what they do is so every single quarter we have to have them. We have all hands meetings. Yeah. Where we're very open and transparent. We present the financials to everybody at the companies. We want them to know if we had a good quarter, if we underperformed our budget. Again, we have to teach them what EBITDA means, but it's coming along. Yeah. We really believe in transparency and in honesty and sort of showing everybody at the company what's happening, why, and how they can affect the change.
Got it. Love it. So that puts into, we talked about some of the challenges and everything, right, a little bit. Is there any other challenges you've seen? I mean, because we talk about ownership, which helps with a little bit of the labor retention and some of that. Is there any other challenges you've been seeing across a lot of these companies? Or
Again, I'll go back to labor.
okay,
There just aren't a lot of people that are going into the trades. Now,
machining, I mean, and also construction on my end too, because I also have that too. Yeah, just trades, machining, all that. Yeah,
exactly. So we've partnered with a local vocational regional high school, and we're getting apprentices, their senior year to come in and work with us. But I mean, it's a drip, it's not a fire hose.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate that some of the businesses are relatively young. I think we have one business where our average age is in the early 30s. So
that's really good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very sticky. Because I mean, honestly, like, I know everybody at the shop. I love these guys, right? We have barbecues together. Like, when we have a good month, we keep a grill in the back, and we all barbecue. I hop on the grill, and it's great. And so that one is that particular business just seems to lend itself well to sort of a younger workforce. We have another business though where I'm betting that the average age is approaching 50. And some of the guys who have a lot of the real like journeyman knowledge are getting up there, and refilling that funnel is a challenge. So we're forced to, and we want to do this too. We want to adopt automation, but we have to do it at an accelerated rate because we just don't have the manpower to do all of the work that needs to get done. So if we can put a cobot in place that can allow one person to basically run more machines because he can load up the cobots and then sort of go do his own work, that's one of the ways that we're sort of working against to solve that challenge.
Yeah, for sure. That was always something that we struggled with, and many manufacturers do. It's not a hijacking here, but like I always say, there's a difference between designing a part or being an OEM or something. There's a difference between making it. And what some people fail to realize, including some PE folks, not everybody, is that it's good to own the IP and you want to have some ownership. Sure, that's fair. But there is just as much trade secrets, IP, journeyman knowledge of just going and making parts like this, right? I mean, there's a lot. So that leads into a great kind of semi-finishing question. We talked about automation and technology and everything. You had mentioned cobots and stuff and AI and everything. Good. Tell me more a little bit about that, because you had mentioned cobots and then AI. How do you feel like you're trying to look at technology and adoption and challenges with it?
Well,
loaded question, right?
Yeah, no, look, it's great because we think about it all the time, every day. AI it's coming, right? It's coming for all of us, and we as a management team we embrace it, right? I use all of my partners, we all use ChatGPT all the time.
It's helpful.
It is. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I will sometimes, I'll write a sentence. I'm like, it doesn't quite look right. And I'll pump it in here. I was like, make this grammatically correct for me so I look smart, right? But deploying that down across, so we have levels of managerial and then production, and then the guys on the floor.
Yeah.
And where we're able to push it down only so far.
True.
Today, right? So 2025, it could be a new dawn, right? We could figure out, we might learn a better way to deploy that level of technology across the businesses. And we're not naive to it, right? Like, we read about, okay, well, Siemens is doing this. I'm like, well, great. Well, we're not Siemens yet, right? We can't deploy $100 million towards an AI, CapEx experiment.
Like a new Siri or something like that,
Exactly. So it's a challenge that we're interested in moving towards. So actually, in 2023, we had a company-wide challenge where we had a competition with 2 stages, and we paired up employees from across companies. So one guy from the injection molder, one guy from the machine shop, one guy from the sheet metal shop, and we put them on teams. So we forced them to cross collaborate, and then they had to come up with an idea where they employed AI in their everyday jobs. And it had to be, it was a competition. We had prizes. We gave away vacation days and cash.
That sounds fun.
And it got everybody engaged and sort of thinking about how can I use AI, because a lot of these guys, some of them aren't really excited to adopt the next thing. They don't necessarily want to be replaced by a machine, and that's a real fear for a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
So we want them to say, no, you're not going to be replaced. You're going to work with this piece of equipment, with this AI program. It's going to help make your job easier, safer, faster, more efficient. And so this little competition we had, we got a couple good ideas out of it. There were a couple duds in there, but it was just the idea of getting them to think that this thing's out there, it exists, and it's not going away. So let's prepare mentally for it to really become a part of the way we operate.
Got it. No, love it. Vacations competition sounds like an old Scrum, or they have this coding contest. I'm talking about hackathons and everything.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If it was a machine shop, I'd love to do that. Great. So, kind of getting toward the closing here. What's one thing throughout this whole process that you've learned that you didn't know before and you like to share with others?
For me personally, the hardest thing was, I came from an asset management background, and we are trained to think sort of for the long haul. And the hardest thing, which took me almost a full year to sort of really understand and appreciate and wrap my head around, was short-term incentives for the employees. We would say things like, hey, at the end of the year, you're all going to get a bonus if we do really well, right?
Yeah.
And, in February, that doesn't resonate very well if it's 11 months away.
Fair.
So that, for me, was very hard because I'm trained to think, if I have a good year, I'll get a bonus, and I can invest that bonus and create a future. A lot of the thinking is more short term. So we implemented quarterly profit sharing to try and combat that,
that memory loss, you could call it, or yeah.
Exactly. And we still have the long-term incentives and the year-end bonuses, but for me, that was hard to sort of wrap my head around. And I've gotten there. I understand it and appreciate it now more. But for me, that was a real learning experience.
Well, thanks for sharing. Yeah, sometimes we get so caught up in everything, and day to day, some of those machinists or other folks or whatever, they're thinking, oh, okay, the year-end bonus. But like you said, well, this is Q1.
Yeah.
We got some time. So very good. Well, this has been a great conversation. Rich, where can people learn more about you and DelCam?
So we have a website, DelCamCapital.com. We have a fair amount of information on there, contact information. So if anybody likes what they see there, I'd encourage them to drop us an email, pick up the phone. It's kind of a lost art these days, but all of our my partners and I, our contact information is on the website.
Perfect. Thanks. Well, thank you very much, Rich.
Chuck,
it's
this
been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love having this, and thanks for being on the show today. And until next time, Industrial Growth Exchange signing off. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to the Industrial Growth Exchange. To learn more, visit our website at www.industrialgrowthexchange.com. You can also find us on major podcasting platforms everywhere.